Very good afternoon to all of you. Thanks to the AIUS organizer. Thanks to Dr. Raka for inviting me to talk on my favorite topic. Actually, I'm thankful to my previous presenter, Dr. Raka, Dr. Anirban, and Dr. Joita, because they have talked so much about this topic that I don't have much to talk actually. But still, I'm trying to do justice to the talk. Pediatric hot orbit can often present with puzzling clinical scenario. Thorough ocular and systemic examination is a must in all such cases, and timely diagnosis and management can save the vision and many a times the lives. Coming to my first case, this was an interesting case. The boy came to us with pain, swelling, features of orbital cellulitis. And we treated the patient with broad spectrum IV antibiotic and the patient responded well. And after 7 days, we discharged the patient.
Sorry to interrupt you, ma'am.
Yes.
Please share the screen.
Share the screen. Is it okay? Is it okay? Am I audible? Hello?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible. Please. Yes, ma'am, you are audible. Ma'am, put on the slideshow.
Is it okay now?
Yes, ma'am.
This is okay.
Yes, ma'am.
6 years boy who came with pain, swelling, and all restricted ocular motility. We did the routine blood investigation. And imaging of NCCT shows that there was a heterogeneous mass lesion in the extracorneal area. And we started the patient with IV vancomycin and metrozil, and the patient responded well. And after 1 week, the patient was discharged from the hospital. Then the patient, this was a picture of 1 week. At follow-up 3 weeks, the patient came back with a picture like this. Again, the patient was having fever and there was reappearance of the swelling. So we were thinking that we are missing something. We did and tried an MRI now. MRI told that this could be a rhabdomyosarcoma. So we thought we will do an FNAC. So while trying FNAC, we got this one. There is a thick, cheesy pus came out, and which no bacilli was found. The gram stain shows that there was some Staph aureus, and we just changed the antibiotic from vancomycin to linezolid this time, and the patient responded very well. The extraocular motility came back. And this was the MRI picture at 1 month. Patient is doing well now. This is another case who came to us with pain, fever, and history of injury with some foreign body. Foreign body was removed twice before he came to us. Then again we did an MRI. We found that there was actually 2 foreign body which was removed first time but left later. So again we planned for surgery under GA and a foreign body was removed. So we can sometimes miss this type of foreign bodies in the single sitting, or even we may require second or third sitting also. Pre-septal cellulitis already discussed by my co-speaker, so I'm not going to all these things. These are the sources of infections. Dental causes are very important thing in case of children, specifically dental. This was a boy who came with a subperiosteal abscess. Actually, this was a CT of that boy. And then this is acute dactyl cystitis. This is another cause of orbital cellulitis. Management, I'm not going, already my co-speakers have told. So this is how we will go for investigations. The imaging, in case of children, specifically MRI, we don't do much. Why? Because the MRI is difficult. This is CT is more available. It is a low cost and it is a time, MRI is time consuming. So in that way, the CT is better than MRI in case of children. But in a case of orbital cellulitis, we do not go straight forward on the first day for the CT. Initially, in the children, we do the investigations. We do only the CBCA blood count and all these things, and we start empirical treatment. And if it does not respond, then after 48 hours, the patient doesn't respond, then we go for imaging. Otherwise, we don't expose the child for imaging right at the beginning of starting the treatment. If you think that there is an intraorbital foreign body is there, or if you think that it is a rhinosinusitis something, then you can go for imaging in the very beginning. We start the empirical treatment like this, and based on the specific thing, culture from the conjunctival swab, rarely we take that, or you can do in blood culture also, but very rarely it comes positive because already you have started the patient on antibiotic therapy, specific therapy with vancomycin and IV ceftriaxone along with metronidazole. Sometimes you may have to use steroid either from the after you, if you are sure that you have controlled the infection with antibiotic, then go for the steroid, oral steroid or IV steroid you can give. Topical and nasal decongestants are recommended also. Then where you will go for surgical? In case of children, surgical intervention indication is very less. Less than 9 years, we do not go for surgical intervention. Even in a case of subperiosteal abscess, we don't go for, because they usually resolve on its own. Like in the beginning, which I showed you that case of the dental abscess from the dental infection, that case there is a spontaneous release of pus from the gum and the child was relieved. So if you think that it is dire necessary, then only we'll go for surgery. Or if you think that there is an foreign body, then you go. Or if you think that there is an abscess in the cranium, then you can go for the craniotomy and all these things. Otherwise, usually we don't go for surgery. Fungal orbital cellulitis, this was one case I still remember. A long time back, I got this patient. The child was actually a case of acute lymphatic leukemia, and there was aspergillosis, not the mucor which you are getting right now. Aspergillosis, and there was an exenteration was done, and the child was given a prosthetic eye. This was a case already Raka has showed that how this referred from a peripheral center with an orbital cellulitis picture, but later we found that this is actually a case of parasitic cysticercosis. Remember, in all these cases, you have to treat the cases for a long time, not a short period. The steroid will be continued for at least maybe a patient can require 3 months in a tapering dose, because once you stop the steroid, then again the patient come back with the same complaint. And along with the steroid, the most vital thing is albendazole. Neurocysticercosis, many times there is no association of neurocysticercosis in this type of patient. So this was the follow-up picture of the boy in 3 months. This was another case. Nirban has already talked about this orbital cellulitis, so I'm not going to talk on this. Orbital cellulitis, many a time, this is the presenting feature of a retinoblastoma. Coming into the next case, this is also, Nirban has talked it. I'm not going to, this is a rhabdomyosarcoma. Rarely we get this type of case. In the beginning, we always start with antibiotic and all, but later we found that this is something else. This was the case. This patient actually, I remember the patient came from far periphery of Hooghly district. Initially, as usual, I treated with antibiotic or orbital cellulitis line, but the patient was not improving much. So we did an MRI. That time we found that there was actually, this was a diagnosis of actually radiological diagnosis. They said it is could be a pseudotumor, so steroid was added in high dose and the child improved. Sometimes a bilateral, as in this case, a bilateral pseudotumor is common in case of children, not in adults. So you have to keep in mind it when you. This is also Anirban has showed you the cases. A child can also come to us with an acute onset proptosis with pain. So this was the case of lymphangioma. We started the patient on oral steroid, and the patient, after 2 weeks, the patient actually came back. The patient was relieved. But remember that patient may come back to you again and again because these things actually, the lesion, the malformation, the lymphangioma persists. But the acute presentation is because of the bleeding inside the lymphangioma. So to differentiate the cases of hot orbit in a case of children, it could be orbital cellulitis, the orbital cellulitis, or it could be a pseudotumor, or could be an orbital tumor like retinoblastoma. It could be panophthalmitis or an insect bite can sometimes, a junior can mistake it as an orbital cellulitis. A viral conjunctivitis, believe me, in a case of children, 1-year child came to me in my earlier days with bilateral severe hematoma sort of picture. I thought it could be something else, swelling. So viral conjunctivitis also you can make. So what are the red flags in these cases of hot orbit? In case of children specifically, be careful whether the proptosis is increasing or not, whether there is a displacement is increasing. It could be an abscess in that scenario. The extraocular muscle restriction, whether it is painful or it is increasing. Then chemosis, appearance of chemosis, changes in the visual acuity and the pupillary reaction. All these are red flags when you have to admit the patient positively and take necessary action. So every case of childhood hot orbit needs to be analyzed individually with special attention to ocular and systemic disability. Management includes multidisciplinary approach involving various subspecialties. Non-invasive investigative tools and imaging studies should precede the invasive tools to achieve a proper diagnosis. Please remember that don't, while dealing a case of hot orbit, deal the hot orbit without burning your hands. So thank you all for your patience sharing. Thanks to the viewers.